Hello for the 15th week in ordinary time. I'm in a new place. I'm in my bedroom. But anyway, this weekend, taking the first reading from Deuteronomy and then the Gospel, Luke 10. I'm doing two homilies this weekend. One is I have the afternoon Mass at St. Paul's down in Lexington, in the city. And the other, I have two Masses at Cox Christi, 8:30 and 11. And this homily is for the one at St. Paul's. And it goes like this. I guess we all say or ask the same question as the scholarly person in the law asked Jesus. What must I do to enter into eternal life? But I think simply put it, we say it another way. We say, what do I have to do to get to heaven? Well, it's a good question. It's still around. And I think we still ask it. And when he asked Jesus this question, Jesus is not coming up with something totally new, but he goes back 1,000 years plus, back to the book of Leviticus and Deuteronomy, and he gives his answer. And it's relatively simple. In the book of Leviticus 19, verse 18, he said you should love your neighbor as yourself. And in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5, another sim, love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And that's what Jesus says more than 1,000 years later. What's new about that? Is it 1,000 years before? Is it the time of Christ? And is it the time of now with you and myself? Well, I think it's now. It hasn't changed. He might explain it a little bit better. And once he goes back and quotes Deuteronomy and Leviticus, he gives an example. And he gives the example of the person who in need, who is beaten and so forth. And a priest goes by and doesn't do anything about it. And the priestly caste, the sons and clan of tribe of Levi, he goes past, the good Jew that he is, and he does nothing about it. And finally, a foreigner goes past, a Samaritan. And the Samaritan has compassion and sympathy and takes and cares for the person and takes them to inn and puts out money. Said, if you need more, when I come back, I'll pay you. Take care of this poor person. So Jesus gives the example, and the example is applicable to the Old Testament, the time of Jesus, and in today's world. So Jesus really has compassion. And he not only has compassion, but he does all kinds of things for us. He suffers and dies, even for us. He's perfect. But what must I do? Love your neighbor and love your God. Pretty doggone simple. In that first reading from Deuteronomy, he's saying it's not just something in the sky or in the gospel. It's not just something in the sky. Have somebody go get it and come back and explain it to us. No. It's not something on the other side and across the sea. You have somebody go over there and get it, come back and explain it to us. Jesus is saying, with this Old Testament mentality, it's here, it's now, it's very near. In fact, it's in your face. And hurting people, needy people, are really in your face now, at his time, and in the Old Testament time. So, what must I do to get to heaven? Well, you can simplify it with the great commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. You can simplify it, love God with your whole heart, mind, soul. I think you can simplify it by saying have compassion. Jesus was a man with compassion. The other day, when I went down the Y to do my bicycle or the treadmill, usually in the afternoon, there's a bunch of kids and they're all sitting around screaming and poking one another in the hallway. Cute kids, but they're simply active, most of them at least. But I passed this one, a young boy, 7 years old, 6 years old, in this program with all these kids, leaning up on the floor against the wall, and he's sort of totally quiet, not interacting with the other kids, and he's starting to suck his thumb. And I thought, where does he fit in? What is his family like? Is he thrown here? Does he want to be here? Is he enjoying here with all these kids screaming and having a good time? I don't know the answer to that. But I thought this: Jesus was very compassionate. And I wonder how I felt about this little kid and had some type of concern for him or understanding or felt for him. How Jesus did that with so many people and arose to the occasion. He fed him, he cured him, he forgave him, he loved him. He went for the foreigner, the Good Samaritan. It's pretty simple. How do I get to heaven? I think by being compassionate, by loving your neighbor as yourself, loving God. And it's right in your face. It's right in my face that I have to try to do those things some way, somehow, with my capabilities, with my interests, with the people that I bump into. You ever ask yourself that question? What do I really need to get to heaven? It's a good question. Other people are involved. And other people are involved, whether it's that little black kid, whether that's hurting person, the other. Love your neighbor, the other, as you love yourself. Have a good day.